Hi guys, welcome to Marnie's TV Zealots. My name is Denise and my partner in crime is Mary. Tonight we're here with New Amsterdam. It's the pilot episode. Mary, why don't you go ahead and say hi?
Hi, so glad that you guys are here watching with us. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel. Let us know if you liked the pilot and if you want us to keep recapping it. It's Tuesday, it comes out the same time as Black Lightning. We're gonna work through it. Y'all let us know if you want us to keep going. But just a quick reaction from me. Like I said in our earlier video for the gifted, my internet was wacky. So I caught maybe 20 minutes of it. So I'll jump in every once in a while in this video. But from what I saw, I like this show a lot. I really do. And I kind of like the way that they're not following the formula of a hospital show. I pretty much, I want to get to know everybody a little bit better, but first impressions, I like everybody involved so far. So Denise saw the whole thing, so let's go into it.
Okay, so last year when they came out with The Resident, I said some things. I said, one, I was tired of medical dramas. Two, I felt like there was nothing fresh or new about the idea, and I'm gonna eat my words because New Amsterdam was fresh. It was new. It was a whole new approach to how we practice medicine. And I feel like it was actually going back to the idea and how medicine used to be practiced and how it should be practiced. And man, I want to say that I have not been touched in a way that's unexplainable in a long time. And I felt like this show did that for me.
Yeah.
Even in the pilot episode, just getting to know these characters, I really feel like I am going to grow to love them. So I think this is one of the shows that I can say off the bat that I'm going to keep watching.
Good.
So there's a few things that I didn't like about it, but I'll hold off till we get to the end. But first, we start meeting the characters. Obviously, this is a pilot episode. So we meet Max Goodwin, who's the lead. He's the new medical director at New Amsterdam Hospital. Oh, man, I forgot to write down the woman's name that comes and kind of brings him around to meet the different doctors.
Okay.
Bump into, well, he starts off in the janitor, in the little room where you change clothes, locker room.
Oh yeah.
And the janitor and some of the different staff are in there just talking trash, and they speaking in Spanish because they feel like he doesn't know it. He doesn't speak the language. And they are talking legit trash. And then they find out that he's the medical director. And then he starts speaking Spanish, of course.
Awesome.
And it was a whole other mess. And I was just like, that's what y'all get.
That's funny though.
So then he goes out, he runs into Dr. Sharp. Now she is the high profile doctor that gets all the, high profile cases, I should say, brings the hospital, makes the hospital a lot of money. So she's out traveling and lecturing. And he's like, you work at this hospital. Why don't you do some doctoring instead of traveling and giving lectures? And she's like, funny. I make this hospital all of this money,
Right?
She's like, you need me. So I will see you in 2 weeks and lunch is on me. I was like, I can't deal with this. And I love it all at the same time. And so she walks out the door or whatever. He's like, you know what? I love her. He's like, we're going to have to keep her whenever she gets back. And so anyway, he goes around and then he has this meeting, of course, and where all the departments are there and all the heads are there. And so he starts talking about how his sister died in the hospital. Well, he talks about how they were born in the hospital, right, and then how his sister later died in the hospital from, negligence, hospital negligence. And so he's talking about how, he's like, so how can I help you? Like, that's kind of like the theme going on. He's like, what can I do to help you be better doctors, get the job done, make this hospital better? And so nobody wants to say anything. He's like, okay, raise your hand if you're a cardiac surgeon or you're in the cardiac department. And they raise their hand. He's like, okay, all of you are fired. And then, girl, so they get up and walk out like this some more.
Yeah.
Ooh, girl. He came in and he was shaking things up. Basically, let me make it sure. He was shaking things up. He was kicking folks out. But before I go there, let me tell you about I wrote her I can't remember where I wrote her name. But she was the head of the ER or something like that.
Dr. Bloom, Laura Bloom.
I think so.
Yeah, I just looked them up because I can't remember.
Okay, good. So she I was like, why is she so thirsty? Like, she came in and she's like, hey, Dr. Reynolds, can we go out for drinks? He was like, no, thank you. And she's like, you do know by drinks, I mean, and he's like, yes, I know what you mean. And still, no, thank you. Like, I mean, why was she this thirsty? I don't understand.
Tired of them. I'm already tired of them. They're really trying to make them happen, and I don't want it.
Well, they're gonna make them happen because he made that comment. First of all, when she was like, why don't you want to date me? And he's like, I don't want to say. And then she's like, I'm a big girl, I can take it. And he was like, because you're not black. I was like, I was not ready.
I was
not ready. She was not ready. I don't think the world was ready.
And the way that they handled it, I could tell that it was written very sloppily.
I didn't. You know what? I'm gonna say this. I don't think race should be the reason you date someone, and I don't think it should be the reason you do not. Yeah. If you have a preference of how you want your family to look,
adopt. You want black kids? Adopt black kids. It's not hard.
You know what? I'm not in the business of telling folks what to do, but it was foolishness. Anyway, moving right along.
It was like he was just reading tweets. He was like, I love black women. I'm like, she's like, so do I, but none of them are asking you out on a date. And I was just like, ugh.
And then when he said, black women were hurt, I was like,
no, we're not.
When? Okay. Here. Never mind. Okay. We spent a little bit too much time on that.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, let's talk about the medicine, about the cases. So we have Dr. Froome. Is that how you say his name?
I think so.
So he is the head of psychology.
Froome, yes.
Okay. And he wants healthy food. And they're like, done. I forgot to mention that Dr. Thirst wants she wants no waiting room, which I love that idea. I was like, yes. However you're gonna figure that out, I want to know, because that is something that we really need, for real. So she did have good ideas.
Yes.
She wasn't just thirsty. That wasn't the end of her. So, what?
It was great. I love it. I'm glad we felt the same way about her.
Okay. So then she does, she's talking to, Max. Well, wait, I said I was going to talk about the cases. So then we have a psych patient. who's going crazy and asks for Dr. Prum. And she has been in several foster homes and been abused several times over. And so he's like, you know what? We just gonna lock her up in here, because he wants to keep her safe. And he doesn't see another option, another way out. And so he kind of she gets into an altercation because they want to take her journal from her, and she's like, it's mine. And they're like, why are you so attached to this one item? She's like, this is all I have, this is the only thing that I have that's mine. Which I would understand you being protective over one thing that is yours. I would. And so in the end with her, they she's like, he's asking her what does she want, but she's like, you're gonna choose anyway. Like, she's used to not being in control of her life.
Right.
So he kind of like, takes a step back, and then he asks, she was in one foster home where she was really good, and she had to leave that foster home because the foster parent died. And so he goes to the daughter and kind of like talks her in to some foster parenting. And I hope it works out. It seems like it will. Then there was a case with there was a patient who presented with Parkinson's. Like, she had been misdiagnosed a couple of times. And so the doctor is like trying to talk to her, and then her husband is getting frustrated with it because he's like, all you doing is talking. And like, it kind of seems like he doesn't know what he's doing. He kind of seems, he keeps losing his glasses. So he seems kind of like maybe he's a little incompetent. And it kind of put me in the mind with something one of my professors said, where he was talking about the A students and the B students. He's like, the B students is where it's at because they like have the best bedside manner and, know how to have that patient talk, where the A students like bam, bam, anyway. But it kind of took me back there because I'm like, okay, he's like, he seems like he's this way, but he's actually really intelligent. Like, he just has a good rapport with his patients. And so he's trying to talk and get an understanding of her background. And he finally figures out that she does not have Parkinson's. So when Max comes in, he's like berating him. He's like, why didn't you treat her, fast track her for Parkinson's? Like, she should have been out of here, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, if I would have done that, I would have misdiagnosed her. I would have mistreated her. And, we wouldn't, she would have been right back in the hospital sick again, because she actually has a tumor. And so, yeah, so, they're slowing it down, actually having those conversations with the patients instead of like just pushing the medicine. And, what's her name? Dr. Bloom, you said it was? I can't remember. And so she actually told Max when he asked her to do a biopsy on his throat. And so while she was talking to him, she was like, Dr. Reynolds, she's like, yeah, you should have fired all those cardiac people except Dr. Reynolds, because he's actually cares about his patients. And he goes in to talk to him. Well, he looks at his records first, and then he goes in and talks to him. He's like, why didn't you bill for as many patients as the other members on the staff or whatever? He was like, because they didn't need those surgeries. He was like, I don't do unnecessary surgery. I treat people, with regular, what they need, basically. And so he rehires him, tells him he's the head of the cardiac department, and then he needs to build a team. So then we have what was the other patient? Oh wait, no, the main patient, the
Liberian.
The Liberian kid. He comes, he gets off the plane and he goes straight to the hospital, and they think that he has Ebola. And so everybody has to, don the protective gear.
Oh yeah.
And so they're trying to treat him. Is it FBI or?
Yeah.
Yeah, the FBI comes in and they're like, he's a, ISIS has told us they sent one of their operatives, so they think that he's with ISIS. And he's just really a kid, and like Max really takes up for him and advocates for him. He's like, he's not a terrorist. If he was, he would have went to Central Park or wherever he was supposed to go. Times Square, was it? Or I can't remember. And so he's like, he would have went there, he would have infected all those people, but he didn't. He came to the hospital so that he could be treated, and that he could warn us. And so he was like, you need to take care and actually look into his claims and not just see him as a terrorist, see him as a person, as a child. And they take their time and they do that, and they find out that he has a treatable disease. They injected him with what they thought was Ebola, but I forgot what it was.
I can't remember.
I thought I wrote it down, but anyway. Meanwhile, there's drama with Sharp. Max is like, we need her, but if she's gonna we need her to doctor. Like, we don't need her running around, giving lectures.
Yeah.
And so she's he has her driver bring her to the hospital. He's like, look, you need to either be back at the hospital in 24 hours or don't come back at all, because this is not helping anybody, basically. Right. And he'd rather let her go and get somebody who's going to do the work than keep, it's not about money to him. Mm-hmm. And so that's going on. He has some personal issues. His wife is pregnant. They're estranged. And he promises really early in the episode that he's going to put her before whatever he put in front of her. I'm assuming his job. And she's like, yeah, well, you have a couple of months left, to do that. So while he was dealing with all this other traumatic stuff, she has an issue with the baby. Her placenta is detaching from the wall, and there's nowhere for the baby to go, whatever. And they think that they're losing the baby, but it seems like it's going to be okay. I don't know how I feel about it. Do I want them to fix it? I don't know them yet, actually. So right. I'm not even going to even deal with that. So in the end, Dr. Sharp does show up. She comes back and she's like, I went by the new farmer's market or whatever, and she was talking about the changes in the hospital, and he asked her why she came back, and she's like, well, people are excited about being doctors again, and she's like, I want to be excited too. I came back for you. And then we find out that he has cancer, which I knew it was some sickness.
Yeah.
And that's the part I really didn't like. I didn't want him to be sick. Mainly because, yes, when people are sick or they think they're dying, they don't have anything else to lose. I want somebody who's not sick. They have something to lose, to lay it all on the line and come in here and do it, shake things up, and have the backbone to do that without it being like, oh, well, I'm gonna die anyway, or that I have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? I want you to have something to lose and still lay it all on the line. That's the only part that was my only gripe.
It's a very petty thing, but I guess we'll get to know everybody better. How rude all the nurses were.
Yeah.
She's like, it's early, but I will call security.
Right. She was about to call security. And then when the nurse was when that elected official, I forgot what he was, and he was in there, and she's like, look, we can't discharge you. And he comes in with the fake folder and everything. And he's like, look, it may be some rectal bleeding, and they're gonna have to. He was like, oh, I think I stay. Yeah.
Oh
I
God.
was like, I think I would stay too. Like,
Right.
Lord, good Lord.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, all in all, I really liked it.
yeah, let us know what you guys thought of it. And shout out to our new subscriber who wanted us to recap this. This is for you. Hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great night. Bye.